My dad always likes to remind me that life is short. Silly short, he says. He once wrote in a letter, "Most people don't think they could die tomorrow. I don't think that way. Don't waste time. The world is your oyster." His advice lodged itself in my brain, and yet I had spent the last 5 years dissatisfied in office settings, my feet planted in front of glowing screens. I couldn't ignore his advice any longer. So I booked a plane ticket to China to independently carry out a rejected National Geographic fellowship. I bought a 1982 Honda Nighthawk and learned how to ride it. 6 months later, I quit my job and went for broke. I spent 3 weeks backpacking through China, traveled 3,000 miles by plane, train, and bus from Beijing to Shangri-La. I was traveling alone for the first time. It taught me to be more present with myself. I found I had more to give to others. I met people traveling on their own terms, whose wallets weren't heavy, but they were free. I loosened up the focus on myself. I gave up trying to know everything. I learned not to pursue happiness as an end in itself, but rather to pursue the things that excited me, and happiness would show up. When I returned, I spent time in my hometown in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. I needed to shake off the past before I continued with the future. To see my parents for who they are, not who they were. I had to learn that just because love isn't always felt, doesn't mean it's not there. I loaded up my motorcycle and spent 28 days driving it 4,000 miles across the country to California. Each day, I didn't know where I would end up, or where I would stay. For years I had made lists of plans and goals, making my future neat in Word documents. I was starting to give up the need to see the future, the desire to control every aspect of my life. I wanted to write for a living, but I didn't feel the need for a 5-year plan. I realized that I hadn't postponed my dreams because of fear, but because of an addiction to certainty. I had always needed a well-trodden path, the security of knowing what tomorrow would look like. But I was growing a tolerance for uncertainty, learning to let go. I began to question whether everything happened for a reason. Perhaps it was how John Cage put it, "No why, just here." If there's no set path, then I would have to stop looking for life's meaning and give meaning to life. I would have to stop waiting for things to happen and happen to things. My dad delivered his final letter a few days before I went across country. It contained his most cherished axiom. Geologically speaking, a human life is only 10 seconds long. It wasn't until I arrived in California that I realized the point of all his letters. By acknowledging death, we make space for life. This silly short, 10-second life, which I don't intend to waste.